doing an AI law startup. Hi, everyone. So my idea is to be able to democratize law for the average citizen. This means one app to solve all legal challenges one may face. No.
Come on.
Already telling you no. One app to
finish.
solve all legal challenges.
Yeah.
I want to start with Spain and slowly move into other European countries. I can't speak to the EU. I'm just having trouble building a custom app with good UI. So far, I have trained models. My GP. Oh, okay. So using my chat GPT and such, and also use some Hugging Face repositories. What's Hugging Face? Do you know that? Not familiar with that one.
It's
okay. But I'm not an AI engineer nor an expert in coding. Then what are you doing building an app? Anyone have any good ideas to get my MVP up and ready before end of year without spending thousands of dollars hiring someone? Well, if you're not an engineer and you're not a coder, then without hiring someone, I don't know what you're going to do.
So this is the new trend.
The no code trend?
So it's basically the interface apps, right? He's taking and glorifying a MyGPT and just dropping it inside of a custom app. So it's not really that he's adding any functionality per se. He's basically just reskinning a custom GPT, which, I don't know. I said a while ago that when I first saw ChatGPT and learned prompt engineering and was figuring, how you can get it to do certain things by pre-building prompts into it.
Yeah, sure, right.
We had this conversation.
Where I was like, let's have it again.
Yeah, let's have one more time. But like when I said, well, you can use this for anything. You can use it for fitness. It can be your fitness buddy, right? It could be a meal planning buddy. And you can customize it to be really good at those specific things. In fact, I even went and registered my meal plan buddy and my fitness buddy and a few other ones. Because I was like, I could totally custom skin a GPT to be really good with that type of information, right? And we talked about it, like there would be an intake. You have to put in, how old you are, family members, blah, 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 blah. And then you tie that into like a recipe website, right? So it meal plans for you, does all these things, gives you the recipe, whole 9 yards. It's just a fancy reskinning of a custom GPT.
Sure.
That's what he's talking about doing.
Okay, fine.
So
I get it.
I wouldn't call it an AI law startup, though.
No, it can't be.
No.
It can't be. And so there's several reasons why. Number one, let's talk. Okay, I can only talk to the U.S. law, but I'm sure European law is similar because they share a lot of the same traits. You, Gummy over there, cannot offer legal advice to anybody for a fee, whether it's through an app or in person, because you're not an attorney. You have to have a license to do that. And I would imagine it's very similar over in Europe. I know in the UK, you have to be a solicitor or a barrister in order to do that. Here in the US, you have to be a licensed attorney to do it. Therefore, I would imagine in Europe, it's similar. But let's assume it's not. Let's assume anybody can give legal advice for money, okay?
Yes.
I don't know why you
well, I can give you legal advice as long as I tell you it's not legal advice.
That's correct. As long as you say this is not legal advice. Exactly.
But here's...
Okay. Anyway, so that's number one. Number two is... you have to believe, again, for those of you who haven't watched our podcast from the beginning, I'm not just an attorney, I'm a software engineer. I've been coding since I was 9 years old. I am embedded with AI software these days. It's one of my favorite things to play with. There are no good answers in AI when it comes to legal. There just aren't.
Nope.
It doesn't understand the nuances of the legal system. Because remember, AI is not really artificial intelligence. It's not actual intelligence. It's just a word. It's just an interpreter. It can take language and it can understand what you're trying. It doesn't even understand. It just kind of takes language and assumes what you're trying to say or what you want it to say, and then spits out a coherent response. But it's not actual artificial intelligence. It can't problem solve. It can't strategize. It can't do any of those things.
The problem has to be known in order for it to solve it.
Yeah.
Right?
One of the problems in the legal world is there's no such thing as the same case twice. There's always something different, right? She was going 35 miles an hour and hit me in a 40 mile an hour zone versus she was going 35 miles an hour, hit me in a 25 mile an hour zone, right? There's always little nuances to everything that happens. So the chances that your software is going to be able to say there's an exact, without question, reproduction of the exact incident that occurred, here's your legal advice. It's not going to be able to do it because there's always little things that it has to pick up and plan.
Let's dumb it down though, right? So let's say that it's not, he's building an AI that just helps you understand the law, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how many terms and conditions do people just sign off on and they have no understanding?
Everybody.
Okay. How about how many leases do people sign where they don't understand what's in the lease?
This week alone?
How about in the last 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, right.
So once again, because I hate scrapping ideas, is
right.
If we solve a portion of a problem. So let's say that instead of being a law expert or, an attorney essentially, what if the app simply helps you understand what you're about to sign? So like if I have a lease, I could scan in the lease, and then as a consumer, I could ask the AI, is there anything unusual in this lease? Right? Because you and I both know people put weird stuff in,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Or if you sign terms and conditions, like you ask the AI, is there anything that seems abnormal in this, right? And imagine if Meta would have gotten away with being allowed to turn all the photos you upload to social media into stock photography.
Oh, gosh.
Right? But like there could be the next social media site could have those terms in it. Like, and then being able to ask it questions if it says, hey, here are some things I think you should look at. And then you should be able to ask the app, okay, how is this significant? Why do I need to understand it?
Okay, so
right?
yes, so you're getting to the point where it's providing you with a roadmap, but it's not taking you to the end because it's never going to be able to take it to the end.
Correct.
All right, and then let me give you an example. I've been playing with software like this for years. I mean, a year and a half now. I've been really trying to get it to work. Let's say I put a contract, and I purposely use the word contractor in there. Okay, so let's say I put an agreement, so I don't overlap the words. I put an agreement into the system, and the agreement has homeowner and contractor. Okay, it's going to read that and recognize the word contractor, but then it thinks that the contractor is actually a third party. It doesn't realize that contractor is the name, the pseudonym in the contract or agreement for the person who's going to be doing the work. Okay. It thinks it's a third-party contractor, like a subcontractor. It can't distinguish between the two because, again, it's just reading words. It's not understanding or inferring what the words mean.
Right.
So that's part of the issue. But yes, you're right. You could put something in there, and I've written software like this. You could put something in there where it at least gives you a roadmap on what to do. It's really good at saying, okay, I want to write an agreement. Here are the parameters. Write it out for me. Mm-hmm. And it's probably a good 65% of what I would need. Now, there's a lot of things it doesn't do. If I don't specifically tell it to put like indemnification clauses in, it doesn't understand the difference between indemnity and IP indemnity, things like that. But it gives me about 65% of what I would need. So as a layperson and as a non-attorney, it'll give me a great roadmap on where to start. Right. But it's never going to take me to the end. And you would still need to talk to someone who understands what they're doing.
Correct. If you're writing or doing any of this. But even just from understanding terms and conditions and all these things, like how many waivers do we sign in our lifetime?
Oh my gosh. Every day.
How many?
Every day. Every time you sign up for something.
Correct. So I would love to see an app where you could scan whatever it is you're about to sign and the app tells you, oh, here's what it really means. Right? Or here's what it could mean.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that.
I don't think you're going to get one that functions as an attorney, but I'm looking at it more as a translator from legal speak to human speak.
So revolutionary shoe here. They're trying to say it's a one-stop for all, and it's not going to be.
Correct.
And it can't be a one-stop for all, but it could be, the start of it at least, could be what you're saying, right? It could be everyone goes online, and when they open their iPhone or their Android phone, they just hit accept. They don't know what it says or what it means. Have something that explains, everything you're about to sign. Instead of having 70 pages of text, it condenses it down to half a page of the important features.
And you could do this so rather than having it be a single GPT, you could have multiple that are specialized in different things. Sure. One that's specialized in terms and conditions.
Right.
One that's specialized in, I don't know, slip and fall waivers, like whatever it is,
Sure.
so that you can at least understand what it is that you're signing.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm with solve 80% of the problem,
Right.
and that's more
That's
than
all you
most.
need.
That's
Yeah,
more
that's
than
all you
most are
need.
doing, right?
Right. So yeah, I mean, again, it's a good idea. It's being done. It's been done. But it's nowhere near. Okay, we don't need attorneys anymore. I do think we will get there.
But
I honestly do. But we're probably 5-10 years away from that.
Can I just point out something though?
By all means.
Because I saw the comment that's under it, right?
Let me see what it says.
So you have a guy that is building an app who's not a software engineer.
Are you at least
He's-
a law person?
Right. So, and he's probably not even a lawyer, but this is exactly why I love the business side of things. We've had this conversation too. You don't have to have extensive knowledge in something you want to do, and you don't have to love it. But if you can figure out how to make the idea work and pull the people together, you could turn almost anything into a business.
Yeah.
Right?
You can.
Yeah. I love the fact that he's not a lawyer. He's not a programmer. He's not
Well,
good
actually, we
technical.
don't know that he's not a lawyer. The person just asked, but I'm going to assume he's not.
Me too.
So anyway, yeah, again, you can do it to a point. It's not going to be a one-stop shop. It's not going to be the be-all, end-all. It's just, again, you're talking to an attorney and a software engineer. It's tried. It's been tried over and over again.
And they're going to keep
even
trying.
even the large database companies like Westlaw and Lexis, they have their own versions of AI that are good but not great.
Right.
And that's just how it's going to be for a while. I would say probably good 5-10 years before it really becomes something that even remotely resembles legal advice.
I would buy that.
All right, let's see what else we got.
I got to tell you a funny story.
Oh, please. I love stories.
While you are looking for the
Okay,
next
go
one.
ahead.
So a few years ago, I had a guy reach out to me on TikTok. And he's like, hey, so I built this soccer betting AI that bets on the Italian, Spanish, and English soccer, the 1x2, right?
Yep.
And he's like, it's accurately predicting at like 82%.
Okay.
And I'm like, what do you mean it's... I'm like, is it accurately predicting wins and losses? And he's like, no, it's accurately predicting at 82% for winning. So if the spread is 1, if the spread
Right.
is 2, it's still 82% accurate,
Wow.
which is mind-blowing to me,
Yeah.
right? But it comes back to what I was talking about earlier. So you want to know what this guy actually did for a living before he had this built?
What?
He was a doctor.
Nice.
Do you know why
Did he build it himself?
No, so he hired people to build
okay.
it. He came up with the idea for it,
Yep.
how he wanted it to work. Now, there's a caveat, right? It can't project, it doesn't hit 82% accuracy until the player roster is released for the match.
Which in soccer, sometimes
30 minutes
yeah,
prior, right? But what was interesting to me is I asked him, and I'm like, what in the world made you want to build this? And he was like, well, I love betting on soccer, and I was tired of losing all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, so that drove you to have an AI system built that predicts soccer scores? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm no longer a doctor. Now this is what I do.
Right.
I'm like, what do you mean this? He's like, oh, I bet. That's the AI and the predictions are what paid for him to have the AI built. And I was like, that's ingenious.
So this year, hopefully none of my friends see this, but for this year, for our fantasy football league, I spent about 2 hours preparing all the stats and all the player rosters and everything for each team, the schedules, etc., and was feeding it into my GPT. And I used my GPT to help me draft my team. And at the end of the draft, I had a pretty damn good team. And, then the system always says who they think has the best ranked team. And my team was like far and away number one. In reality, not so much.
Right.
Because it doesn't know who's going to get injured, who's going to be,
Correct.
who's going to have this problem, that problem,
It's
etc.
the exact reason I will not bet on sports.
Yeah.
Right? Is you can look at all the numbers and then someone stubs a toe running
Right.
out into the field and
Yep.
it changes everything.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
So, but it was fun. It was an interesting experiment. I'll probably do it again. change a few things. But
Yeah.
if you do it right, GPTs can really
do a
help.
lot.
They really
Yes.
can.
It's a fun time we live in right now, especially from a business perspective, because AI and the access to this and the information is so good. It's so easy to get basic questions answered anymore, right? The more nuanced stuff, you need to understand how to prompt to get that, but you can get basic information. Like it's so cool.
Yeah. Quickly too.
Yeah.
It's not like Google where it used to be, let me Google that for you. And it would give you a bunch of results. You got to go scrolling through them to find the answer. Now it just gives you the answer. In fact, Google itself gives you the answer with its without. They have Bart, right? Google Bart, isn't that their AI?
Oh, Bard.
Bard. Yeah.
And then they have Gemini, and then they have the.
But the one that they use in the search engine, that's Bard, right?
No, so they actually use Gemini for that.
Oh, they use Gemini. Oh, okay,
I believe, which is the AI answer, basically. I believe it's the Gemini model that powers those results.
Okay, got it.
But it's interesting.